This video feature, brought to you by Concrobium Mold Solutions, eliminates and prevents mold, bleach-free and guaranteed. This video project tour is about the workbench that I designed and featured in the magazine, and I want to give you a few tips on it. These are the legs here, and you can see I've specified 4x4s. If you'd rather use smaller material and you've got some 2x4s, that's fine too. You just need to glue them together. The joint would run along the length here, and that'll get you the same size of leg that you need. Now here we've got the leg frame. It's made out of 2 cross pieces and 2 legs each, and they get assembled ahead of time. There's 3 of them in this particular design, although you can use as many as you like for a long bench. The main thing is that the corners of these leg frames be square, and the way you figure that out is by measuring diagonals taken across the frame, and when they're the same length, you can be sure that the corners are 90 degrees, which is exactly what you want. Now when it comes time to assemble these, you're going to connect them with these long rails, as well as the shelf on the bottom. They're connected with carriage bolts. You can use nails or screws, but carriage bolts do a much stronger job. I recommend that when you do put these parts together that you use screws initially. This will allow you some leeway as you put the parts together so you can move and rearrange until you have things just right. You can move that up or down or in or out. And then remove the screws from the top part of each joint, right here. Then you can drill for your carriage bolts and install them. Repeat the process after the top carriage bolts are in place, removing the screws and drilling and installing the bolts, and you're all set. Now here you have the shelf. I have just one shown here in my plans, but you can easily add another set if that better suits what you're going to be storing. You just need more wood and more cross pieces to rest that shelf on. Here it is in the side view here. The next thing I want to talk about is the replaceable plywood top. I call it optional, but I really do recommend it. It's a great thing. You can either use 1/4-inch plywood for this, or better yet, 1/2-inch thick plywood. That's my preference here. And the purpose of the plywood is to give more stability and smoothness to the bench, but also to stop dirt from falling down in the cracks here. A regular bench just with 2x6 lumber on the top is going to let a lot of dirt fall down on the things you have stored. You should go for good one-side plywood. It's abbreviated G1S, and it means the surface is smooth and factory sanded. Now here we've got the joints. I just want to point out that they're really best glued together. It's an extra step, but it really does make for a much more solid bench. It's worth the trouble. This is a similar structure I built more than 10 years ago now, using some leftover Trex from a deck construction job. And it's really held up well. It looks exactly the same today as when I built it, as you see in the photo here, even though it's more than 10 years old. It's got the same kind of leg frame assembly. There's the cross pieces and the legs, and they fit together to form a frame. There's 2 of them in this particular design. They're connected by long rails, top and bottom. And what you can't see here are some cross pieces that exist underneath the top. If I was dealing with wood, I might not have to put those in, but with Trex I do, because any kind of composite deck material is not nearly as rigid as wood. It needs more support to resist the downward forces. But when you put them in place, it's going to work fine. I used nails to join this table together. I'd probably use screws or even carriage bolts now. It just goes together a little more easily. I also recommend you reinforce each joint with construction adhesive. You can't use wood glue on this material, but construction adhesive works quite well. You put it on all the major joints, and it really does stiffen up the table, make sure it doesn't move, and everything lasts really well.